In my last video, we set up a VPS. Today we're going to deploy a real Next.js application to production. No vercel, no hidden platform costs, just open source software. Now I chose Next.js because it's one of the most popular frameworks right now, but these same principles apply to TanStack, SvelteKit, Django, and Ruby on Rails. We'll be using a tool called Dokku. It's an open source platform that turns your VPS into a simple deployment platform. You'll be able to deploy apps with just git push. It uses Docker under the hood, but don't worry, you don't need Docker for development or anything like that. It's just for production. I know there are other platforms like Cloudflare and Dokku. These are great projects, but I chose Dokku because it's extremely lightweight. It runs on almost any VPS, and I've been using it for years. We'll also use SQLite as our database. Now I know what you're thinking, shouldn't we use Postgres or MySQL? And if you have thousands of users already, you probably would. But when launching a brand new app, SQLite is perfect. My Dutch bro Peter Levels runs most of his apps on the Hetzner VPS using SQLite, and he's doing great. One quick note before we start. This video assumes you already have a VPS up and running. It follows directly from my previous video where we set one up. So if you don't have that yet, watch that video and come back. Now let me show you what we're deploying. We're deploying this Guestbook application. Copying it, you can follow these exact steps yourself. And we'll say git clone, you need a VPS. So now I have this you need a VPS Guestbook. And the first thing I need to do is install the dependencies, of course. Next, I need to copy over the environment variables. So I have this example environment and we're copying it over to a local one. Let me show you real quick what it looks like. We have a better auth secret and URL for logging into the Guestbook, a database URL, and Turnstile against spam. I need to run these migrations to create the database. pnpm db migrate. This will create the SQLite file. And now I'm running it with pnpm run dev. Let me open this up. And here's our Guestbook application where you can sign in, sign up, and leave a comment. We're going to deploy this exact app to production. So by the end of this video, this will be live and you can actually use it. Here's the VPS I set up last time. I'll need this IP. Also, I have a DNS record for youneedavps.com to this IP address. So again, this was from last video. So if you don't have this, go watch the previous video. Next, I'm going to SSH into my machine. So I'll do SSH yillis at this IP address. Time to install Dokku. We'll follow the getting started instructions on the website. And first we'll install Dokku itself. This will take a few minutes. Okay, it's done. Now it says that we need to add our SSH key. And even in the getting started guide, it says this, cat authorized key. So in here, we already have our keys, so we can SSH. And then we need to run this to add it to the admin. This is added. So the first thing we need to do is create a new app. Here they have Ruby getting started, but we'll call ours Guestbook Next.js. Then we want to set a domain. You can do this later too, but I like doing it after creating the app because I already own a domain. Dokku domains set Guestbook Next.js, and our domain is youneedavps.com. Now let's see what domain names are configured for this domain. So we can Dokku domains report Guestbook Next.js. And there's only one domain now here, youneedavps.com. Now we're going to deploy this. We'll go to our Git repository and we need to add a remote so that we can push to Dokku. Git remote add Dokku, this one, that's the remote name. And a user is Dokku at our IP address and then colon the name of your app, right? So this needs to match. I'll set the remote and now I should be able to say git push Dokku. So this will push to Dokku. The first time we're deploying, it will take a little longer because it needs to download all the dependencies. But then after that, we use Docker caching. So a deployment will be much faster. Oh no, it failed. Remember when I copied the initial repository, I had to copy over those environment variables. We didn't do that on production, right? So it says database URL must be configured. And you can see if we do Dokku config show guestbook Next.js, we only have the proxy port and the Git revision right now. So if I do Dokku logs guestbook Next.js, we'll get, hey, it's not been deployed yet. But luckily, we just need to set some environment variables, right? So let's open up that env file we had, and there's a better auth secret, a better auth URL, and a database URL. And it's actually complaining about the database URL. What I'm going to do is I'll copy this database URL thing here. Dokku config set guestbook nextjs, and I'll paste in that database URL. Okay, now I have a database URL. We can do the other ones later, but let's redeploy real quick. So we just redeploy by pushing, and you'll see the second time it will be much faster. Beautiful. See how it says deploy to port 3000? Let's see if this works on port 80, if the port mapping is working, right? So I'll open up Safari, and let's go to you need VPS. It's running. It's going to Nginx, but it's actually not finding our application yet. So we need to add the port mapping. And that's actually not as difficult as it sounds. Let's say Dokku ports set, and then the app is Guestbook Next.js, and we'll map port 80 to port 3000, right? That we saw here, that we saw earlier in port 3000. So I'm going to add that port map, and now port 80 will map to this port 3000. So if I go back to my incognito browser here, we get something went wrong. It's at least it's accessible. So what do we think that went wrong? Let's say Dokku logs guestbook Next.js. And it says, better auth secret is invalid. Let's set some more environment variables, and then we'll add SSL. So we now know the command, right? You know it's Dokku config set, and then the app name, guestbook Next.js, and then there's some variables. So since we need better auth, I'm going to betterauth.com, and in the getting started, they have this cool generate secret. Copy this here. Yes, we need just secret. Okay. And the other thing we need is better auth URL. So copy this, and the URL equals https:// you need a VPS.com. It's going to redeploy for us automatically. And note this is running on the VPS. Application deployed on http you need a VPS.com. Awesome. Let's copy this thing. And let's just see, do we still have our thing open? Let's try again. Hey, it's running. Now, of course, it's not secure. And also, we don't have a Turnstile account yet, but at least we have deployed to production. Very cool. Very cool. Next is adding SSL. What's the point in having a website if it's not behind HTTPS in 2026? So for this, we are going to use the Let's Encrypt plugin. Let's Encrypt, this one. And let's follow these instructions. All we do is copy these two, go back to our VPS, paste. This will install Let's Encrypt as a Dokku plugin. And let's go down here, usage. You have to set an email and enable it for your app. Copy this value, right? Set for my app, which will be guestbook Next.js, email yillis@youneedavps.com. Okay, set the email, and then I just want to enable it for my app. Enable guestbook Next.js. Okay, it's going to try and solve the challenge for us. Server responded with certificates. Now it's reloading Nginx and letting us know like, hey, there's SSL now. Let's try it out. What if I go to youneedavps.com? Hey, look at this, SSL, youneedavps.com. We have deployed to production. We made tons of progress, but there's a couple things we need to do. First, I want to try this guestbook, right? But I'm missing Turnstile keys. One of the products on Cloudflare that I really want to use is Turnstile. Otherwise, you're going to get tons of bots trying to sign up, and it's not a pleasant experience. Luckily, in the dashboard, you can go to search, the quick search. I like to use Command K, Turnstile, right? And then under Protect and Connect, there's Turnstile. And what we'll need to do is add a widget. And the widget for me is going to be you need a VPS widget. Then I need to add a host name. Let me search you need a VPS.com. So let's add that one. Add. Okay. And sometimes the scrolling doesn't work. We'll say managed and then create. Back to normal. Okay, so we have now these two keys, the side key and the secret key. And if we go back to our code real quick, the env file, the side key and the secret key. Okay, these values you see here are the always pass values. So for local development, you always want it to pass, but in production, you never want that. So what's nice is we know that by now we know how to set it. Config set guestbook Next.js. The turnstile side key, copy here, and the turnstile secret key is, boom, let's do it. So it's setting it, and it automatically redeploys for us. Beautiful. Okay, it's deployed, and as you can see, it now knows, hey, there's an HTTPS one. So now if I refresh this page, there's Turnstile, which verifies I'm a human. I'm going to select it. My public name will be Yillis. I'm going to have my email hello@youneedavps.com. And I'm going to have a super secure password of password and create an account. So I'm logged in as Yillis, and I'm going to leave a message on the guestbook saying, whoa, I am sure this message will stay. Post message. Look at this. Awesome. Sure it will stay. Now here's the thing. It won't stay because, and this is very important, Docker containers are ephemeral. So that means as soon as they restart, they lose the data. And I can very simply show you by doing Dokku ps restart guestbook Next.js. So this will restart our container. And now if I refresh this page, there's no messages and my account is gone. So in order to fix that, we have to bind the volume. Let's get a quick refresh on where we're storing our database. Right, so if I say Dokku config show guestbook Next.js, it's going to store this in /data guestbook.db. So we need to make sure that that persists. In order to do that is by creating a mount, a volume mount. We'll say Dokku storage ensure directory, and we'll call this guestbook-next.js. You can call this whatever you want, but I like calling my mounts, my folders similar to my apps. Okay, so this created this folder here, var lib Dokku storage. So we have now created this. Next, we need to mount this directory to our app. So we'll do this. We'll do Dokku storage mount guestbook Next.js. And then the format is a little scary at first, but it's the host first. So that's this thing I just copied. And then colon, and then what we call it on production. And on production, it's /app/data. And we have /data only here. Let me just run this. Let me show you real quick why /app. If we open up the Docker file, it will say work there app. So it works from /app. So app data. Now we'll go back to our app again, right, refresh. Now again, sign up. This one I'm going to be Yillis @youneedavps.com. And my password will be secret. All right, I'm verifying that I'm not a robot. Create an account, lovely. This one is here to stay. Post message, cool. And let's just verify by restarting this container one more time. And if I refresh, it's here to stay. So we did it. Now, one quick thing that I want to show, just to show you how cool this is, right? So let's say we have You Need a VPS guestbook. What if we make some code changes, right? So I'm opening Vim. I'm going to search for You Need a VPS guestbook, this thing here. What if I just make this more of a title? You Need a VPS guestbook. Now I can commit it right here, and I'll commit it as a better title. Now it's committed, and what I can do is I can say git push Dokku to push this current commit to production. All right, so in a minute, it's pushed to production, shutting the old container down. And now if we go to our app and we refresh, here we go. You need a VPS.com guestbook. And that's it. We did it. We deployed to production. Whew. Okay, we now have deployments with git push, a real domain, HTTPS, environment variables, persistent storage with SQLite, and just a working Next.js application. And the really cool thing about this setup is that the server cost is about $5 per month, like the price of our VPS. And whether you have 0 users or 100,000 users, the infrastructure cost stays basically the same. Bandwidth might be more, but that's why we use Cloudflare. From here, there's many roads you can take, right? We could add Postgres, we can add background job with Redis, we could add Stripe. We could do the same thing with Django or Ruby on Rails. So I'd love for you to let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. And we'll end up with a cool You Need a VPS series where everybody deploys their own apps to their VPS. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that stuff.